Okay, so like y'all to log in to your computers and open up Dreamweaver, and then I would like you to import your sites. Now, in order to import your sites, you go to the Site drop-down menu up at the top. You go to Manage Sites, which is this third option down here. And then you guys will want to, you probably won't have anything that shows up in this window um, until you import it. I have several sites here, so you're probably going to see a blank window. But what you want to do is click on the button at the lower left called Import Site. And then you're going to navigate to the folder that you made on this computer. And once again, this is something you're going to have to do every single time you come into this class. So you might as well come in, log into your computer, start up Dreamweaver, and import your site and be ready to go. Okay, so what you'll do is, you guys, I'm working on a laptop here, but on the computer there, you'll go to Computer, and then go to User Files, and then you'll find the folder that you made for this class. And in my case, I'm going to go to Desktop, and I'm going to go to something called My Sites. And inside there, you're going to find a file called like mysites.ste. You're just going to click on it and hit Open. And then you're going to hit, it should show up in here, and you're going to hit Done. And then what will happen is the folder will show up over here. You can right-click on that little triangle there, and you'll see everything. Come on in, come on through. You'll see everything that's in that folder. Last week, I believe, we made a folder called Project 1, and we made two files that we stored in there, the index.html and the style.css. Has everybody been able to import their site? Anybody having any problems, just raise your hand.
Well, because I created it on the flash drive, well, I created it here first.
Well, right, so that's what you want. That's what you want. So click that and hit. Oh, you did it twice. Okay.
Right.
So we'll just hit this minus. Now that'll get rid of that one. And so you're importing that, and then there it is. Okay, hold on a second. I guess, well, you weren't here last week, right?
Right.
Okay. So you're not going to have the files that we have, but maybe you can look on with Anna. Do you mind if he looks on with you? Okay. So look on with her file right there. Is there anybody else who wasn't here last week that doesn't have a file to work on? Okay. So go ahead and double-click on this file called index.html. Double-click on it over here in the Sites window, and that will launch it for you. Just going to walk around, make sure everybody's got it happening here. That's it, right? And then what you don't have is your file builder. Here it is right here. All right, just please be patient for a second. I'm just checking to make sure everybody's got it. Only take your backpack off, make yourself at home.
I know, it's kind of keeping me warm now.
It's keeping you warm?
Keeping me warm.
Is it cold in here? I'll
Not that bad, I'm just being a baby.
I'll open these things. Okay, you guys have all got it?
Well, I thought I'd save it in my folder, but it's not here. And the only thing that,
Well, that's not the right class, though. You're right. It's this right here. Oh, wow. Oh, you didn't save it in here, so you don't even know where this came from.
oh, this is the one I did.
Last time?
Yeah.
Okay. This is when you just work on this tonight, and then when we take a break, I'll show you how to save it.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry to do that. Okay, so we got everybody here. It's looking good. Okay. Maria? So, do you remember how to import your site? Okay, get all logged in and then I'll come over and help import. Okay, so everybody's here. They've got their site imported. Everybody that has one, I'll help you if you don't. And if you'll recall, you can click on the split screen button in the top left corner, and you can see your code over on the left-hand side, which is what we call the back end of the website, and the front end of the website, which is what the user sees over here in this window. Now, also recall that up here at the top left corner, there's a button called Source Code, which shows you the HTML code, and right next to it is the text style.css. Click on that for a second, and you'll see that this left code window changes. The right window still shows you the front page of the website, but the back now shows you the CSS style sheet, whereas before it showed you the source code or the HTML web page. So regardless of which one of these you click on, it's always going to show you the front of the web page over there, which is quite useful because as you make changes here, you can see the changes appear in the website itself. Okay, so what we're going to do right now is I'm just going to sort of go through the process of explaining what your first assignment is going to be, which is to create the website, your first project, which is a one-page website. Now, I'm just going to go through it and record it here so it'll be up on the website so you guys have this information handy. I know we did some stuff last week, but I'm just going to do it again so you'll have all the pertinent information. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to scroll down here. I'm going to go over to source code and go down to the HTML page, and I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and I'm going to remind you of what we did last week and what we ended up with. So what we did last week was we made a series of boxes. What do we call those boxes?
Division?
Divisions, right? What's the shorthand for that?
Div.
Div, right? DIV is short for division. That's a tag right there. That's what is this the beginning or the ending div tag? Beginning, and what does the end div tag look like? Right, so / div. Okay, so if you have those two, as we do multiple times, right, then you have created a box or a division, a section, right? So what was the first one that we created? Container, right. And of course, just a reminder, we use lowercase letters for that. The container is the box that holds all the other boxes in it, right? What did we create after that? What was the next one? Header. Okay, then what?
Body.
Main. Then sidebar, I'll abbreviate it SB, and then finally footer. Right? Were you able to import your? Yeah, it looks like you did. Okay, so now if your code looks like mine here and you have this big hunky space right here, this big chunk of space, go ahead and click your mouse inside of that space and hit your delete button and get rid of all that space so that you end up with just all the code together like that. Okay? Now, you'll notice that the code here is indented, and this kind of indentation is what's referred to as well-formed code. Well-formed code means code that's well written. It's easy to look at and see what's going on, and it's easy for other people who are not you to edit it. Because, of course, when you create a website for a company, do you think you're the only one that's ever going to touch that website? Probably not, right? There's probably going to be people who came before you and people who come after you that will work on it. So the more that your code conforms to standards, or conventions as we call them, the easier it will be for other people to work with your code. So the way this code is formed, we have, of course, the HTML at the top, which was created by Dreamweaver, which said, hey, we've got a basic web page starting here, so they have a doc type tag, which tells you that you're going to be working in HTML, XHTML1 transitional. We've got an HTML tag, which tells you that this is where the HTML is going to begin. We've got a meta tag, which is it's like a descriptive tag. It will tell you something like the keywords for this page or a description for the content on the page. A title tag, which literally tells you the name of the document. And then a head tags, which surround this code, which is used by computers to read the document. Then we come down here to the bottom, and we see the body tag, which is used to surround the content which is displayed on the web page. Begin body, end body, right? And finally the end HTML, which ends the whole page. Now the part that we made last time was this series of divs right here. And notice that the div, which is the container, it starts it out here, and then where is the div that ends the container? What line is it on? 15, right? So in other words, the container starts here, like it starts right here, and it ends right here, and everything else is inside of it. So in order to show that all the other divs are inside of it, they are indented in or tabbed in side of this container. So then we have them in the order that they appear: the header, the main, the sidebar, and the footer, right? So this is all a structure like a house. That's like a floor plan for a house. The container is the outside wall of the house, and these are all the rooms, right? Now, the way that we achieved the look of this web page, which, I apologize, you can't see it all on my small screen here at one time, but the way that we achieved the look of this web page was how? The colors and the size of the rooms. What document did we use to define that? The CSS, the style sheet, right? And that's the one that you can click on right up here at the right. You click on that, go ahead and click over, and you will see all the CSS styles. The styles have several names. I like to call them styles because it's an easy way to remember it. They're also called rules, and they're also called selectors. And they all mean the same thing, which is this word up here, which is basically the name of the style. It appears in pink in Dreamweaver. These styles here, or selectors or rules, have a little symbol in front of them. What does that symbol mean?
Hashtag.
It's a hashtag, right? What does it mean when you use it? It doesn't mean that I'm on Twitter and I'm going, hashtag header, right? It means something else in CSS. What does it mean? ID, right, exactly. So a hashtag means that you're using a certain kind of selector called an ID. And how do you define an ID as opposed to a different type of selector? What's unique about it? Who said that? Very good. Used once. Okay, so an ID is only used once. So in the case of this, the container, the header, the main, the sidebar, and the footer, there's only one of each on the website, and so each is only used once, so therefore they are all IDs, all indicated with a hashtag. Now, if I were going to make a type of style that were going to be used more than once, then what kind of a symbol would I use to indicate that? A what? A period. Omar says a period, and is he correct? Yeah? I'm going to say so too. I don't really know. I was going to say a star because I think stars are really pretty. No, Omar is correct. And a period is called a what? Over here on this side of the room. What's a period referred to? Kind of style? Class. Very good. It's called a class. And that is a general style, which means it can be used over and over again. So for example, I think I gave the example of red headline last time. If you wanted to have a style you could apply all throughout your website, you're going to use it over and over again. You could create a style called red headline. If I were going to create that here, and you can go ahead and do this with me, let's click right before the hashtag container and hit our enter button, our return button a couple times to give us some space, and then go up. And now let's type dot, which of course is a class, and then red, and then you can put a dash or an underscore, and then headline. Now when you're creating styles or rules or selectors, you can name them whatever you want, but it makes sense to name them something that directly relates to what it's going to do. In this case, it's going to turn headlines red, right? So I called mine dot red underscore headline. I'm hitting the space bar. Now I'm holding down the shift key and I'm pressing the curly brace. The left curly brace, which is you hold down your shift and click the button to the right of the P. Okay, so I hit the left curly brace. Then I hit my enter button again. And what it does, it takes me down to the next line and indents it, because once again, this is well-formed code. And in well-formed code on the CSS style sheet, you have the name of the selector up here in pink, and then all the attributes of that selector are indented and are in blue. So they're easy to spot and easy to change, right? So when we hit enter, it kicked us down to the next line and indented us. Plus, it brings up this little menu of these different items here. Does anybody remember what these are called? That beautiful silence.
Attributes.
I'll give you a hint, which the word hint is actually a hint. Okay, I'll put it together for you. What is this? What is all this stuff in here? Wait, I thought I heard somebody say it. What is it?
It's a code down.
Code. And then what was the hint I gave you? Hint. These are called code hints. Okay? All right, that's what it is. Okay? Just what if I based your whole grade on that? I'm like, okay, you're getting an A or an F if you. Okay. So these are called code hints. So you'll never forget this, right? And code hints are great because this is a list of all of the attributes that you can possibly use in Dreamweaver or in CSS to modify your HTML, right? So you don't have to memorize it. It's all here for you. Now it's also coded so that it can be, you can click on the first letter of the alphabet and it will drop down to the types of styles that are available for you. So for example, hit the letter C. Okay, and it drops down to the C section, and these are all the C's, right? Now scroll down and double click on the word color. Okay? Now, most of the CSS styles are pretty self-apparent, right? For example, height, you can tell that's probably the height of the div, right? Width, margin right, background color, right? Color is one of the few, I think they made a mistake here. Color is one of the few that is not obvious. If I said to you, what does the CSS attribute color control, what would you tell me it probably controls?
Swatches.
Swatches, so like maybe the background color of a div or something like that, right? That's sort of an obvious leap. Does anybody know what it really controls? It controls font color. So shouldn't that really have been called font-color? I'm just saying, right? Okay, but it controls font color. So you put in the word color, it puts a colon there, and then you hit the space bar. Now, when you are working with CSS, the colon represents an equals sign. So for example, on the left-hand side here, we say the word color, which we now know means font color. And then we put a colon, which means equals. So font color equals, and then we put in the color that we want this to be.
What's the equal sign mean?
Well, okay. I'm just using, the equal sign is not used in CSS, okay? Maybe I could write in the word equals. All I'm trying to tell you, I'm trying to give you an example of what this does. In other words, the height equals 600, but the equals is not used.
Oh, because I saw it in the source code.
Yeah, well, equal sign is used in what's called PHP code, okay? But we're actually in a different type of code right now, which is called CSS, okay? So when we come back, when we talk a little bit about PHP, I'll address your equals question, okay? But so what I'm saying is that the type of attribute, the name of the attribute is on the left-hand side. The colon means equals, and then the exact value of the attribute is put on the right side. So in this case, what's it going to be? Red, right? So you could do it one of two ways. Probably the best way to get used to it is to double-click on this little color symbol up here. Then you get a color picker, and you can choose whatever red you want. And like I'll choose this one on the left, and it will drop in the hexadecimal value for that number, or for that color, right? Now, if you notice, when I roll over this color red, it comes up with this here, #F00, Foo. Anybody a Foo Fighters fan in here? I am. That's the official Foo Fighter. No, it's not. Okay. Did anybody, by the way, did anybody see the Beatles special on Sunday? The Grammys salutes the Beatles. It was pretty fun. There were a bunch of different bands there. Dave Grohl was there. Anyway, so what we have is we have a combinations of letters and numbers that represents that color red. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my red. That number is going to go in there, and then I'm going to end the line. There's a symbol which means terminate the line, which is what? A what? Semicolon, right? Semicolon means, hey, computer, this was the attribute, that's the value, and now we're done, right? Now, you can continue to list attributes and values down here for this selector, for this style, or you could end it if that's all you want to do, right? Notice down here in the container we have multiple attributes. For this is all we're going to do. So we're going to hit our return button. We're going to hold down our shift key and we're going to click on the close curly brace, which is 2 buttons to the right of P. And we're going to see that it automatically sets itself over here to the left-hand side of the screen, just like all these other ones. Now, if you want, you can get rid of any extra space that you have between those styles. So now you've created a brand new style called .red headline, which is a class, which sits on here along with all these other styles. Now let me ask you something. How come I don't see my cool red headline? Why? I haven't applied it to anything yet, right? I don't have any text, like you said, I haven't applied to anything. So in order to create some content over there, let's go back to our source code over here on the left-hand side, and let's scroll down so that we are in the main area. So what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down to where we see all these divs, and we're going to click our mouse in between these two brackets right here. So here's where the main div starts, and here's where it ends. So that means if we click right in between them, we're literally going to be right in here. So now let's go ahead and type some text, anything you want, like I had asparagus last night. Yeah, okay. Now after you type your text, you can hit refresh in the properties box at the bottom, and you will see your text appear in the default formatting that is set up for a web page. The default formatting for web pages always takes content and lines it left and doesn't put any space between the end of the div or the sides of the div and the content. So if you want some space in there, you're going to have to do it yourself. Well, right now we have this text and it's black because that's the default for text, but we want to apply our red headline style to it. Okay? So let's go in here and let's apply our red headline to it by applying the style to everything that's in this div. Okay? And the way we're going to do that is we're going to take our mouse and we're going to click right after the word main. We're going to click after the quotes that ends the word main, and we're going to hit our space bar once. Okay? So in other words, we're now modifying the div, the section itself. We're saying this div is called main. We already know that it's got, certain proportions, certain size and height, that it floats left and it has a purple background in my case. But we also want to apply the red headline style so that any text that is in here will turn red, because we know that the color attribute is a font color. So when you click here, you also get a drop down of code hints. So let me ask you, what kind of selector did we make red headline? Right, which is a what? It's a class. So do you see the text down here that says class? Go ahead and double click on that. Now notice how cool this is. When you say that you want to apply a class to this div, it automatically looks at your style sheet and brings up a list of all the classes that are over there, right? So it shows red headlines, so double click on that. Okay, and then come down to the bottom and hit the refresh button. And what happens?
Red.
Your text turns red, right? And so will any other text that is inside of this div, because you have said inside the div, which is called main, I want to apply a class called red headline, and if we go over and we look at the style sheet, we see that anything that has this red headline class applied to it will be turned this color red. Okay, does that make sense? Is anybody a little confused or have a question about that? Okay, good. So that's how we can apply, that's how we can create, styles of our own as we learn more about CSS and what it can do and apply them to different sections of the website. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the kinds of changes we're going to make because we have a project coming up that's going to be due, and it's going to be to take this sort of shell, this template of a web page, and fill it up with content and do a little CSS styling to it so that you have a web page, right? So let's go ahead and let's do another style that we're going to type in here on the style sheet that's going to affect something else. In this case, we're going to affect the background. If we click on the design button here and we look at the background of our web page, you can't see much of mine. You can just see it sort of in the edge here. You guys can see more on yours. What color is it?
White.
It's white because the default, sort of like a piece of paper, is white, right? Now, one of the things I'm going to be asking you to do on this assignment that I'm going to give you is to change the background color, right? And so in order to change the background color, we're simply going to go back to our code here. So I'm going to click on the split screen window again. I'm going to click on style.css so that I can see my style window here. And I'm going to click my mouse right before the dot before red headline. And then I'm going to hit my enter button, my return button a couple times. And then I'm going to click my mouse back up there. I made a little space for myself. Now I'm going to type a command which is going to allow me to apply general styles to the website, right? This is a very unique command. There's different kinds of selectors. There's the class selectors, there's the ID, there's two more that are mentioned in your book and that are generally used. One is called a tag. And what that is, it's an existing tag. For example, we already said that anything inside of these angle brackets is called a tag, like this word head and this word body. Those are tags. Div is a tag, right? Well, one of the styles that you can create, one of the rules or selectors, is you can take an existing tag, like the word body, and you can turn it into a style, and then you can apply things to it, attributes. You can say, hey, the body tag, which affects the entire website, I want it to have a background color. And the result will be that the whole website has a background color, right? So a body tag, you just use the name of the style, or use the name of the tag, and apply whatever attributes you want to it, right? So in this case, we do want to affect the body tag, so we're going to go over to the style window here. We're going to click where our little cursor is, and we're simply going to type the word body. Now that's how it works in CSS. You don't have to type the little angle brackets. Those are only when it's being used on the HTML web page. When it's being used on the CSS style sheet, you just type the name of the tag, in this case body. Then you hit your space bar, hold down your shift key and click the left curly bracket, hit enter, and now hit the letter B when you see the code hints come up. Now which one of these code hints do you think we're going to use? Background color, right? Double click on that. And then you see background color and you see colon, which we know means equals. Double click on the little color word that pops up and move your little eyedropper over to a color. Click on it. You'll get the hexadecimal code, which has become a combination of letters and numbers, 3 of them, with a hashtag in front of it, which represents, it's a numerical representation of the color, which computers can understand. Now we're going to terminate this line with what? A semicolon. We're going to hit enter, and we're going to hold down our shift key, and we're going to hit close curly bracket, just like we did last time with the red headline. So we are writing CSS code. Okay? So background color equals, in this case, sort of a gray color for me. You can come down to the bottom. If there's a refresh button down there, you can click on it. If not, you can just click over into the right-hand side window and then click on your design view. You can't see it very well in my case, but my background color is gray. You should see yours very obviously. Okay? So as we're going through this, you are actually doing some of the stuff that you'll be doing for your assignment, and you can use this page to turn in for your assignment, so you're getting ahead of the game. Yes?
Just a question. The
Yeah, the hexadecimal color is, it's called hexadecimal color because hexadecimal, which I can never spell, there's like a A in there where there shouldn't be. I think it's decimal, okay? Hexadecimal means 6. And what originally happened was, in the original version of HTML, this number here, which represent this combination of numbers and letters, which represent that color, it had 6 places, right? And they crunched it down to 3 because it saved time. Now, you have just 3, and that does represent the color, and it does represent it across the board. Now, one of the things that you might have noticed is, if I go back here, you guys don't have to do this, I'm just trying to demo something, but if I go back here to my style sheet to where I originally put in the color, if you click your cursor after that colon and you hit your space bar once, that is what brings up the code hints, right? If I double click on this word color, you might notice, hey, there's some colors here, but God, it looks like just a few. Like maybe if I counted those, there's only be like 216 of them or something, right? This is what used to be referred to, or is still referred to as the web-safe colors, right? Web-safe colors are colors that can be viewed on PCs, on computers running Windows, computers running Macintosh operating system, and computers running Linux, and these colors look virtually identical on all the computers. Now this was the case, this was how web design was done in the early days because they didn't have sophisticated enough monitors. Well, now the monitors are so sophisticated that you can use virtually any color. So you might look at this and go, man, this sucks, I can use virtually any color, but I'm just getting these little wonky web colors, right? If you move your mouse over here and you click on this little circle, you get basically a Photoshop color picker. And what you can do is move these sliders up, get a rainbow of colors, and then click your mouse in here, select a color, any color you want of the 16 million colors that are available, and then move the slider down to affect the shade of it. And then once you're done, you hit OK, and that color pops in. Okay? Notice that this number has the 6, right? Because it's still a hexadecimal color. The ones that have the 3 are often the web-safe colors, right? Now this color will show up on all computers, and it will look very similar, but the web-safe colors have a better chance of being exactly the same, but this is still going to look very close because monitors are so good these days. Okay, I'm going to go back and make sure that mine is red. Now, a little trick that you can do, you should always use these hexadecimal colors when you can, like this one here. But if you're in a rush and you don't feel like looking it up, all of the main colors, the ones that you used to paint when you were in kindergarten, all of the names of those colors will work. So you could just write the word red. You could write green, you could write blue, you could write yellow, gray, or black. But the color names will work. Okay? So if we go over here, we can see that my headline is still red, even though I wrote the word red instead of hexadecimal color, right? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a 10-minute break, and we're going to come back and talk some more about this.